Good afternoon, everybody. It's about 10 after 2 here, Eastern Standard Time. I'm Weather Forecaster Eric Drewitz with your regional pattern outlook. And across the region right now, we have temperatures mainly in the lower 30s across central and western New York with some isolated upper mid to upper 20s in the higher terrain. We have colder air. I don't know why there's only one plot there, but we have colder air to our north and west. Oh, there we go. Colder air to our north and west up into Quebec and Ontario provinces of Canada, as well as some warmer air to our southeast with some isolated lower 40s in Virginia and Maryland. Winds mainly out of the northwest, so cold air advection currently is taking place after that nor'easter system pulled through. So now here's the current 500 millibar pattern, and this is that system that brought snow, several inches of snow to areas such as Long Island, Connecticut, Massachusetts coast. And as this moves out, we have a little small negatively tilted trough right behind it, which will pull some cooler air into the region, as well as we have more of a positively tilted trough over the plains, which will also help troughiness in the east this week. We got a big ridge over the west, as you see, forming, and we also have some moisture, so this could maybe be a little significant later in the week as this moisture will advect to our part of the United States. But we do have this huge ridge here, which I'll get to explaining in a second. So now moving into some of the teleconnections. So I'm going to explain to you which ones I think are significant out of the ones I'm looking at and less significant and why. So I'm expecting, obviously, as a lot of you know, kind of a bit of a cold air outbreak middle this week is what I'm looking at. And so here's the NAO forecast, and I don't think the NAO is going to be a significant player in this one because the indices are not very high in either direction, and as well as when you have a negative NAO, that helps troughiness in the eastern U.S. Well, this is a positive NAO, and signs are showing from other teleconnections that we're going to have troughiness in the middle of the week. So without further ado, I'll move on to the PNA, which I actually think this one will be a lot more significant in this week's weather. Because as you see here, we have a bit of a spike in the PNA to values of almost +2, and positive PNA will allow for higher geopotential height anomalies across the western U.S., which will create that ridge-like structure as you see over here. So that'll help build the trough in the east as well, because as you see, when you're downwind of a ridge, you need to have a trough somewhere to make up for that. So now kind of going into the PDO here. PDO is just slightly positive, so I don't think it's very significant this time. But as you see, last year we had strong positive PDO during this time of the winter, and actually this brought super cold temperatures. Syracuse, New York had their coldest winter on record, February of 2015, or their coldest month on record, I should say. And that was a big factor. The PDO is one of the major factors in that because that's sea surface temperature anomalies are a big driver of this off the coast of Alaska, southern coast of Alaska, and your really warm sea surface temperature anomalies off the southern coast of Alaska, which created a lot of ridging across the western U.S. and eastern Pacific. So that drove a big trough in the east. But again, PDO is very weak this year. So just to show you, opposed to last year, sea surface temperatures are a lot cooler in most spots. There's not as much pockets of warm water, warm anomalies across the southern coast of Alaska. I mean, you have this little area right here, but last year it stretched more like out into here, which this year, obviously, you see that's not happening. So it's much weaker with PDO this year. Here's a look at the QBO. Another significant factor last year, as you see here, during the winter months. So this is January, February, March, April, May, June. So okay. So February, as you see here, we have actually a very strong negative QBO, which could help also with some blocking because when you have a negative QBO, this stands for quasi bilineal oscillation, and what that does is negative QBO will I believe cause a primarily easterly flow in the stratosphere, which will slow down the westerlies in the primary westerlies in the troposphere due to friction, and then that'll help blocking patterns, because when you want blocking, you want a much slower jet stream than you normally have. So obviously QBO started to increase, and it's much higher in the fall here than it was in the winter. But it is now, as you see, we have a value now less than 10. So it looks like it is on the downward trend right here since, let's see, that's December, November. So since October, it looks like we've been on a downward trend here. So that a weakening QBO could also help in a little bit. But this is still not the biggest factor. The biggest factor is the AO. You see the AO here in the middle of next week really, really tanks. And what this does is it'll slow down the circulation around the Arctic. And when you slow down the wind circulation around the Arctic, you're going to get, it is much easier for pulses of cold air to move southward instead of staying all contained up in the Arctic. It's kind of like, I kind of think of it like the gravitron in a sense. When you're spinning around on the gravitron at high speeds, you're like glued to the wall. But when it slows down, you're able to get yourself off the wall easier and easier and easier. I think that could kind of be a good analogy with this. Negative AO will make it easier for cold air to move south because the winds circulating the Arctic are going to be much weaker. So I think this is the most significant factor this week, that and the PNA. So now, currently moving into some GFS ensembles. This is stratospheric heights and temperatures. So as you see, we have a lot of stratospheric warming. Actually, I'm going to change my color here. A lot of stratospheric warming over the Russia and over Asia right here, and that's going to move. That's going to be intensifying and moving into more so our neck of the woods, well, the Western U.S. And one thing that's going to help that is if you look at these pressure anomalies right here, we're going to be having a decent high pressure system building in. Actually, it's even stronger now at 18Z Monday, but we're going to have a decent high pressure system. That's strange. Decent high pressure system building in across the Western U.S., which will help with that stratospheric warming. And I believe maybe this can cause some temporary blocking as well. To look at the 500 millibar height anomalies on the GFS ensemble, and I will look at the Euro in a second just for cross-reference, but you have really, really strong warm anomalies across the Western U.S. and really cold, really low anomalies with heights across the east. So I think, and also another thing to note is the shape of this ridge. I know you can't really see it stretching off the screen, but it kind of looks like an omega. That looks like it could be maybe even a classic omega block for this next week. So I think the strong trough in the east will definitely help crank up some lake effect, and cold air advection will be occurring throughout the region. Let's see. So here's the they don't have stratosphere option on the Euro ensemble, but I guess looking at Euro ensemble 500 millibar height anomalies, it shows that same pattern it'll be occurring as the GFS did. So stratospheric warming across the Western U.S. and the Alaska, moving in that area, that's going to also help slow down the winds and the jet stream. So that'll help again with blocking, and all these other things will probably help too. So yeah, let's see. Now moving into a little more local. So this is 500 millibar vorticity. And as you see, when we get towards, let me limit that. Yeah, there we go. All right, so as you see, we have a lot of upper level energy here. This is the GFS, NAM, and Euro I'm showing you. I'm going to show you. Sadly, I'm going to say I cannot show you the Euro. I mean Canadian is what I'm going to show you. I cannot show you the Euro because of legal reasons. But we have a lot of upper level energy throughout the region right here. This is at 12Z Tuesday with this big upper level low that's going to be moving through. So that, if we look at 850 millibars, this is 850 millibar temperatures, heights, and winds. We have a big 850 millibar low that's going to be moving through the area. So what did I show you? 12Z on Tuesday. Yeah, it looks like that low, the center of the circulation looks just to be to the actually I'm going to change my color, just to the west, the northwest of us during this time. But when we get on the backside of that low, I think lake effect will definitely be an issue, because we're going to have cold air advection taking place. 850 millibar temperatures are now getting to about minus 15 Celsius. As you see, GFS shows a long lake axis parallel flow. This is now 60 Thursday. So I guess to cross-reference this with Canadian as best as I can. Actually, Canadian doesn't even go out that far. But again, it shows a big pulse of upper level support and energy moving in through. And on the backside, I think that's definitely going to crank up the lake effect machine, especially with these really, really low height anomalies. And cold air advection taking place. There is a system too that I'm watching. This system down here. It looks like we could have another coastal storm, but right now models are showing that it's going to be going out to sea. But it is a good thing to look at because there is a decent amount of upper level energy there. Thank you all for watching. This is Weather Forecaster Eric Drewitz signing off, and have a great day.